Good morning, Griffins. The Zamora family came up with a more aggressive plan and is getting the whole family involved. We find them ready to launch their activism against Pipo at the festival. Go Zamoras! Page 134, almost to the bottom of the page. It starts with "and now." And now for some good old fashioned activism against Wilfredo Pipo, Vanessa said, motioning for her team of student leaders to pass out materials. Next, she used a map to direct family members to their assigned posts at the festival. The festival takes place primarily in the lot, but it also extends out to here and here. Vanessa made little pink and blue dots where different family members were supposed to stand. You got a map of Canal Grove? I asked. You're not the only sneaky Zamora, Vanessa said, winking as she handed me a flyer. Come on, let's help people see the light. I looked at the flyer, which had Abuela's face right in the middle of it with smaller photos of the rest of my family circled around her. In the background was a watermark of the restaurant with photos of Abuela posing with different members of the community, including a large photo of Abuela with Commissioner Garcia. The words, "We are your family," appeared in cursive on the bottom. I flipped the flyer over to find restaurant stats and a paragraph about the environmental impact of a high-rise in Canal Grove. How did you get these done so fast? My friend Adrian runs his own graphic design company, Vanessa said, and pointed to a guy unpacking flyers. His team put it together. I watched Adrian unpack the flyers from the boxes. His hair jutted out from the sides of his hat, and he had to lift his shorts up every time he bent over to pick up more flyers. He's our age? Vanessa nodded. He can be very immature and slacks off a lot, but when it comes to design work, there's nobody better. Great job with the flyers, eh? Adrian looked up and smiled, admiring his work. Then Carmen walked up, and I felt nervous all of a sudden. I hadn't decided when I was going to tell her yet, but my guess was that during a protest was not a good time. Hi, Arturo, she said. She was so close to my face. It was like she was a blowtorch burning my neck and making a crispy marshmallow out of my throat. The free body splash she had on made it impossible to focus. You okay? She said, eyeing me like something was wrong with me. Huh? Yeah, sorry. I thought about Abuelo's letter. Now I knew what he meant about doing the most courageous thing ever. When you decide you're going to tell a girl you like her, you need galactic level courage. Arturo? Right, I said, refocusing. We'd better get out there before Vanessa gets mad. My whole family and the Green Teens walked to Main Street together. My cousins, who we called cousins but weren't really cousins, were working the Saturday lunch shift while the rest of us took to the streets. As we approached, we could see the road blocked off with booths all around. How are customers supposed to get to La Cocina with this mess in the way? Vanessa said. We got closer and Vanessa began handing out flyers. One guy standing nearby pulled out his wallet and gave her some cash. We don't want money, sir. Take this flyer and think about your neighborhood and voice your concerns at the public forum in 2 weeks. Stand up for our community. Enjoy this commemorative La Cocina de la Isla Cap. Vanessa gave another flyer to a woman eating festival food, shrimp sushi wrapped in lettuce. The woman said gracias, holding the flyer between her finger and the plate. We got to the lot to find the festival in full swing. What time did this thing start? Brian asked. 11 in the morning, Vanessa said, pointing to the sign. It's going on until 8 tonight. There was a huge four-sided sign in front of the lot and our restaurant. It said El Festival de las Estrellas on all four sides. The entire street parallel to the restaurant was blocked off from traffic and lined with little white booths. The lot itself was full of tents with a large stage in the middle surrounded by lights, 2 large speakers, and a microphone stand. La Cocina was barely visible. Wow, said a random guy wearing a too-tight shirt as he entered the festival. Seriously, bro, this is legit. A little kid sculpted lumpy wads of sushi with his hand and stuffed his face. An older couple fed each other and smiled as they savored the taste. Aunt Tootie looked around. Where are they getting that food? Yolanda pointed at a tent where a sushi chef was carefully slicing sashimi into little squares and placing them on rice. There was already a huge line. He's making sushi right outside of our restaurant, Thea, Martine said, his large nostrils flaring up like a hippo before it attacks. This tent is taking away our business, my dad said. We watched a long line form at the food tent. People left with long sticks of squares with squares of fish on them. Is that even sanitary? Muddy asked. Serving raw fish in public like that? It is most sanitary, señorita, said a voice behind Muddy. Wilfredo Pipo was dressed in a lime green suit with a red tie and a hat covering his entire face. If it weren't for his bright smile, I wouldn't have recognized him. He tipped his hat and welcomed us. Ah, the famous Zamoras. And where is Doña Veronica? She's not here. That's too bad. And your fearless leader, Chef Gotti? None of your concern. Oi, your free food is taking away our business. Aunt Tootie tapped her foot so loudly it sounded like conga drums. Oh, I didn't realize. Surely a few salmon rolls and yakitori skewers won't break the bank. Uncle Carlos stood behind Aunt Tootie, his 2 sets of twins, in a quadruple stroller. One of the kids got loose and asked someone walking by for a piece of salmon. He took a large bite. It looked like he immediately regretted his decision because he made a face like he had just swallowed cardboard and spit out the salmon onto the ground in front of everyone. Aunt Tootie laughed and walked over to pick up her nephew. Well, now we know the tackiness of your taste also affects your taste buds, she said. Wilfredo shifted uncomfortably. He was outnumbered about 15-1. My tacky taste didn't keep you from stopping by to enjoy my free food and fun, did it? Vanessa pushed her way to the front and got up in Wilfredo's face. We're not here to have fun, she said. We're here to protest Pipo Place and the horrible things it would do to our community. A growl escaped Wilfredo's throat like a dog challenged to a fight. His left eye twitched and his face grew as red as the tie he was wearing. Listen here, little girl, all of you. I worked very hard to put on this event. I have tents full of free food and gifts that will seal the approval of this ridiculous family-friendly community. You will not stand in my way. Do you hear? If I see one flyer or sign inside the festival, I will call the chief of police, someone I've gotten to know very well over the last few weeks. Face it, you are dinosaurs. And you know the beautiful thing about dinosaurs? Wilfredo leaned in really close, so close I could smell the soy sauce through his gritted, pearly white teeth. We know how big they once were by the bones they left behind, but that's all they are in this world now, just bones. Wilfredo tipped his hat and smiled at some people passing by to enter the festival. He threw a final icy stare at us before he disappeared into the crowd. We were all speechless. He basically just called us extinct. Hanamas, Vanessa said, bringing us back to the present. Like, seriously, we are Zamoras. Let's stop looking defeated and take some action. You heard what he said, Vanessa. He'll call the police on us. I can't go to prison, Simon said as he tugged at his green teens shirt. The debate team needs me. We just have to change our plan a bit. Everyone stay at the perimeter of the festival. No one actually goes inside, Vanessa said. We have a right to be out here. She's right, Aunt Tootie said. No somos dinosaurios. We can't give up now. Let's do it! For Abuela, I said. For Abuela, everyone shouted. We stayed outside the festival grounds, but we made sure to talk to everyone heading in and out. Most people were happy to speak with us, reminiscing about the restaurant and about Abuela, and even some admitted that they were only going in to collect the free gifts, but they did not really support Pipo Place. In that case, I couldn't blame them too much. The swag Wilfredo raffled off was pretty cool. Mini speakers, iPads, more trips to the Caribbean. And even if you didn't win one of those, everyone left with water bottles, cell phone cases, hoodies, and Wilfredo's book about real estate. Okay, that last one wasn't cool, but I digress. Carmen asked if she could be my protest partner, and I agreed, even though I knew my stomach would be as twisted as a pretzel the whole time. She held a sign that said, "Family is community, community is family," while I passed out flyers. "Isn't this so exciting?" she asked. "Sure," I said. "We're fighting for what we believe in. We're trying to make a difference, just like Jose Marti. He fought for Cuban independence from Spain. He wrote hundreds of essays on social justice, about the equal treatment of women and the importance of children to the future of society, and about intellectual and social independence for the people of Latin America." Whoa, how did she know all that? "Men of action, above all those whose actions are guided by love, live forever." Oh, isn't that just beautiful? Marti wrote with passion, and it spilled out into his poetry and his life. I knew Jose Marti was a poet, but I had no idea about the other stuff. I wondered if I had that kind of intellectual whatever it was she said. I could hardly keep up with everything. I believe in the equal treatment of women," I said, trying to say something important. We spent the day protesting from behind our invisible barrier. Whenever there was a lull, Carmen told me more things about Marti, like that he'd said, "We are free, but not to be evil, not to be indifferent to human suffering," or something like that. She talked about how Marti charged up a hill in Cuba, machete in hand, demanding freedom for his people. "He knew he was going to die," Carmen said, and I swore I saw a few tears drop from her eyes. And yet he still charged because he knew, even in death, his work would live on. Carmen sighed. "It's so brave and romantic." How the heck was I going to compete with a guy who wrote poetry, fought for the independence of an entire country, and died on the battlefield fighting for freedom? And then I thought, wait a minute, why was I even getting jealous, and why did I care so much? And how was I ever going to prove myself to Carmen? If not for Aunt Tootie, I would have been lost in a vortex of jealousy and despair over a guy who'd been dead for over 100 years. "Come inside," Aunt Tootie said, ushering everyone into the restaurant. "I'll make churros with crema de chocolate." It seemed to cheer up the family a little. Aunt Tootie didn't cook much, but her churros were legendary. "You all deserve it," she said, and began to prepare the deep-fried sugary sticks. It was 5 o'clock, and the festival was still full of people enjoying themselves. La cocina remained empty. At one point, a couple popped in, but then went back outside when they heard "free food all day" from the loudspeakers. After about 30 minutes, Aunt Tootie brought out the homemade chocolate sauce and warm, sugary churros. I took one and went to the dining room to eat. Carmen waved me over, and I carefully balanced my churro and chocolate sauce as I sat next to her. She took a sip of water, then grabbed my hand and took a bite out of my churro. "So delicious," she said, smiling. I looked at my churro. If ever there was a moment to declare you like someone, it was with a churro in your hand and a day of protesting a greedy land developer's hostile takeover of your neighborhood behind you. I was positive it was what Marti would have done. I thought of Abuelo's letter. Valor, courage. With sugary bits of churro stuck to the sides of my mouth, I started. "Carmen? What's up?" I dug into my pockets, forgetting about the churro in my hand. I guess what I'm trying to say, yes? She said as she watched me closely. It was like she waited for the greatest question to ever come out of a human being. It was then or never. "Carmen, I like you. I like you a lot. And well, I was wondering if you like me, maybe." There was a pause, a really uncomfortable pause. She took really long to say anything. My hands started to sweat. Her head moved slightly from side to side. A nervous smile crept onto her face. I breathed hard, like maybe too hard, because she leaned back a bit, like she was trying to get away. I didn't know what to do. I backed away too. She didn't like me. Not that way, at least. I could tell. It felt like my stomach had turned into a vacuum cleaner to suck my chest into it. I'm sorry, Arturo. I can't. I'm not. But she didn't finish her thought. She just made her way to the back of the restaurant without another word. I pushed away my plate of churros as I watched Carmen go outside. I stayed until I couldn't see her anymore. I stayed until I couldn't feel anything anymore. Carmen had quietly rejected me. Mop and Bren were wrong. Carmen didn't like me at all. And because I was sure I would forever associate churros with heartbreak, I knew that I'd probably never eat a churro again.